Hello students, so once again we are back with Hornbill for class 11th, and now this is the third video for this chapter, Silk Road. We are at page number 78. So now let's start with second last para. Here now in the previous video we read about Lake Mansarovar and Hor, and the writer feels that this experience, his own experience of Lake Mansarovar, was much different from the experiences which he had read in the books by other people. Now we are at page number 78, second last para. It was dark by the time we finally left again, and after 10:30 p.m. we drew up outside a guest house in Darchan. Now, next place is Darchan. Wherever you are noting down the names of the places, so note down this place also. Now, after Hor, now in the night they reached Darchan. Okay, for what turned out to be another troubled night. And he said here, Darchan night was a troubled night for me. So you will get one question, okay, on Darchan night. Okay, how he spent his night. So this is important question. Kicking around in the open air rubbish dump that passed for the town of Hor had set off my cold once more. Though if truth be told, it had never quite disappeared with my herbal tea. He said once again now after leaving Hor I was feeling cold once again. Though he said I can say that maybe this cold has never left me. But I was little bit better. But now once again when I reached over here in Darchan, I was feeling that I had that cold once again. Maybe my herbal tea was not doing anything. One of my nostrils was blocked again, and as I lay down to sleep, I wasn't convinced that the other would provide me with sufficient oxygen. So this is very, a natural thing for the person who suffers from cold, that you feel that your nostrils are blocked, and sometimes you feel that your one nostril is blocked, and especially when you are trying to sleep, when you lie down, you feel that you are not breathing properly. So this is what even he was feeling at that time. My watch told me I was at 4,760 meters. So it was not, because earlier the height was more. So though it was less height, but even then he was feeling that uneasiness. It wasn't much higher than Ravu, and there I had been gasping for oxygen several times every night. I had grown accustomed to these nocturnal disturbances by now, but they still scared me. He said naturally, because of this hilly area, I was every time maybe now or then I was feeling this uneasiness. So it was not new to me, but still I was always scared whenever I felt that I was not able to breathe properly. Tired and hungry, I started breathing through my mouth. After a while, I switched to single nostril part, which seemed to be admitting enough oxygen. Now he said my one nostril was totally blocked, but still I was able to breathe or take oxygen through the other nostril. But just as I was drifting off, I woke up abruptly. Something was wrong, but he said when I tried to sleep, I woke up. Why? Because then I felt that something is really wrong with me, because I was not able to breathe properly. My chest felt strangely heavy and I sat up, a movement that cleared my nasal passages almost instantly and relieved a feeling in my chest. Curious, I thought. I lay back down and tried again. Same result. I was on the point of disappearing into the land of Nod when something told me not to. He said whenever I was sleepy, I was trying to sleep, I was lying down, I was feeling uneasiness. And if I sat down, I was feeling okay. So he said it was strange. And then he said ultimately I thought that I should go to sleep. But he said when I was sleepy and I was about to sleep, then suddenly something told me, no, don't sleep. Maybe you will not see your morning then. So something, he felt. It must have been those emergency electrical impulses again, but this was not the same as on previous occasions. This time I wasn't gasping for breath. I was simply not allowed to go to sleep. He said earlier also, because of this area, because of the height, many times it had happened that I was not able to sleep properly because I was not able to breathe. He said it's not that right now I was not able to breathe because the height was not that, but still something was telling me not to go to sleep. Sitting up once more immediately made me feel better. I could breathe freely and my chest felt fine. But as soon as I lay down, my sinuses filled and my chest was cold. I tried propping myself upright straight the wall, but now I couldn't manage to relax enough to drop off. I couldn't put my finger on the reason. He said I could not tell the reason, but this was true that whenever I was lying down, I was having that feel only that I should not go to sleep. So he said I thought that I should sit only because while sitting I was not having that problem, that much problem. So he said though I was not able to tell the reason, but ultimately I thought that I should not go to sleep. But I was afraid to go to sleep. A little voice inside me was saying that if I did, I might never wake up again. This is what he was feeling. So I stayed awake all night. Seaton took me to the now. In the morning, he told his driver that this is how he spent his night. So this Seaton took him to the Darchan Medical College. Again, one important question. Okay, on the Darchan Medical College, the appearance of the college, or about the doctor and the medicine which he was prescribed. Okay, he was given rather. Seaton took me to Darchan Medical College of the following morning. Medical College the following morning. The medical college at Darchan was new and looked like a monastery from the outside with a heavy solid door that led into a large courtyard. See, this hospital was not a city hospital. It was very, it looked like a monastery, means a very heavy door and then open area inside. So this kind of door it was. We found the consulting room, which was dark and cold and occupied by a Tibetan doctor. So it was a Tibetan doctor there, and who wore none of the paraphernalia that I had been expecting. And this doctor was not wearing that white coat and having the stethoscope and all the medicine and the briefcase of medicines and syringes. No, nothing like that. So he was not having that kind of paraphernalia. No white coat, he looked like any other Tibetan with a thick pullover and a woolly hat. When I explained my sleepless symptoms and my sudden aversion to lying down, he shot me a few questions while feeling the veins in my wrist. So he said he asked me what I felt, and then he felt my wrist also. He put me certain questions also, and then afterwards he came to one conclusion. It's a cold, he said finally through Seaton. Means he told Seaton in Tibetan language and Seaton translated it in English that it's nothing, nothing to worry, no need to worry, it's cold only. A cold and effect of altitude. I will give you something for it. I asked him if he thought I would recover enough to be able to do the Kora. Oh yes, he said, you will be fine. And doctor said, don't worry, you will be fine with this medicine. I walked out of the medical college clutching a brown envelope stuffed with 15 screws of paper. So small screws of paper means वो जो इसको पुड़िया में बांधकर, so 15 doses he gave, okay, for 5 days, means 3 doses per day. This way he got the medicine. So if you get this question, you should remember that how many screws? 15 for 5 days, 3 we can say medicines, or 3 we can say time a day. I had a 5-day course of Tibetan medicine which I started right away. I opened an after breakfast package and found it contained a brown powder that I had to take with hot water. So first dose, when he opened that one screw, okay, one pudiya. So what he found a powder, okay, kind of thing which he was supposed to take with hot water. It tasted just like cinnamon. Cinnamon is dalchini. So this was the taste. The contents of the lunchtime and bedtime packages were less obviously identifiable. So when he opened the second, we can say screw of that paper, that medicine, after lunch or after dinner, he said, this I could not recognize. Why he could not recognize? Because both contained small spherical brown pellets. Okay, pellets is small pills. So these were small pills. They looked suspiciously like sheep dung, but of course I took them. Though it looked like sheep dung, but he said naturally I had to take the medicine, so I took them. That night, after my first full day's course, I slept very soundly, like a log, not a dead man. He had a sound sleep. Okay, not like a dead man, but he had a sound sleep that he was not, even in a mood to move throughout the night. Okay, that way he had sound sleep. That way the medicine was good for him. Once he saw that I was going to live, Seaton left me. Now, in Darchan, Seaton also left. Means from Darchan now he was all alone. So in the morning when Seaton saw that medicine is effective enough for this writer, okay, he also left it. Seaton left me to return to Lhasa. As a Buddhist, he told me he knew that it didn't really matter if I passed away, but he thought it would be bad for business. So jokingly he said, "Sir, I was really not worried for your health or for your death because I am a true Buddhist. We don't believe in bodies. Okay, because we believe that spirits never die. So I was not that much worried about your death, but I was thinking if you die, who will give me money? Because this is my business." So this way, so jokingly he said so, but he left now this writer all alone over there. Darchan didn't look so horrible after a good night's sleep. It was still dusty, partially derelict, and punctuated by heaps of rubble and refuse. But the sun shone brilliantly in a clear blue sky, and the outlook across the plain to the south gave me a vision of Himalayas. Now he said, though it was not very good or a very green area, okay, partially derelict and punctuated by heaps of rubble. Again, derelict is which is abandoned kind of place. Okay, so it looked very dusty and abandoned kind of place, and then punctuated by heaps of rubble. Means here also there was rubbish and refuse, okay, accumulated maybe that way, again like whore, but still it was better. And the sun shone brilliantly. The clear sky was there, the sun was there, and he said, I was feeling better now. Okay, Himalayas commanded by a huge snow-capped mountain, Gurla Mandata, and with a wisp of cloud suspended over its summit. So wisp of cloud means line of cloud he saw, means he was happy that at least this is better now. The town had a couple of rudimentary general stores selling Chinese cigarettes, soap and other basic provisions. Now this town was having few small shops also. Okay, there you could get all the basic things like cigarettes or soap and everything like this, as well as the usual strings of prayer flags. In front of one, men gathered in the afternoon for a game of pool. The battered table looking supremely incongruous in the open air, while nearby women washed their long hair in the icy water of a narrow brook that babbled down past my guest house. So he saw men playing pool, he saw women washing their hair in the cold water. So this was a normal life going on over there in that town. Darchan felt relaxed and unhurried, but for me it came with a significant drawback. There were no pilgrims. So you may again get short question, what was the drawback with Darchan? The drawback was that there was no pilgrims. Actually, he had come because we can say that Darchan can be taken as a base point because from here people start their foot journey, okay, for the Mount Kailash, for the Kora. And here he was expecting others also, okay, other pilgrims also, but now he said this was the only drawback, that I was maybe all alone or maybe the first one as a pilgrim to reach over there. I had been told that at the height of the pilgrimage season, the town was bustling with visitors. Many brought their own accommodations, enlarging the settlement around its edges as they set up their tents, which spilled down onto the plain. He said, actually, I was told that at the height of the season of pilgrimage, so many people come over here, they have their tents, some they bring their tent and their own accommodation, their own stove, and they cook here only because they live for many days. And I was expecting actually all that rush, but there was nothing like that, no crowd. Maybe I had timed my arrival for the beginning of the season, but it seemed I was too early. So he said, accordingly, I had planned, but maybe I was too early. When I reached, I saw that I was the first one, okay, to reach over here. One afternoon, I sat pondering my options over a glass of tea in Darchan's only cafe. So there was one cafe there he used to sit, and actually he was waiting that let other people also come so that we can start on foot our journey for Kora. So after a little consideration, I concluded they were severely limited. Clearly, I hadn't made much progress with my self-help program on positive thinking. He said maybe though I was always thinking that I am very positive, but still I was not ready to start my journey all alone for this Mount Kailash, for the Kora. In my defense, it hadn't been easy with all my sleeping difficulties. He said, why, though I was always very positive, still I was thinking that I should not start my journey all alone, something bad can happen. So he said, why I was thinking that negative, maybe because of my sleeping difficulties, because sometime because of the height and altitude and all this, I was having sleeping difficulties. That's why I was thinking that I should not now dare to do anything else, okay, all alone. But however, I looked at it, I could only wait. So this is what he decided, that I should wait for others to come. The pilgrimage trail was well trodden, but I didn't fancy doing it alone. Though this route was well trodden, it's not that it was a new route and nobody knows about this route. But the only thing was that maybe I was not ready to do it alone. The Kora was seasonal because parts of the route were liable to blockage by snow. I had no idea whether or not the snow had cleared. So, namely, this route was well-trodden route, but even then, it's not that this is open throughout the year because of the snow in this route. That's why it was open for few days or for few, we can say, weeks only. And I was not sure whether now the snow is cleared on this route or not. So that's why he said I was thinking that I should not dare to go all alone. I had no idea whether or not the snow had cleared, but I wasn't encouraged by the chunks of dirty ice that still clung to the banks of Darchan's brook. So here in Darchan there was a brook. There he had seen that water was frozen water. So that's why he was still thinking that maybe the chances are that on the route also there could be snow, and then maybe it would be dangerous for him if he is all alone. Since Seaton had left, I hadn't come across anyone in Darchan with enough English to answer even this most basic question. Now, actually, he wanted to start also, but he wanted to first of all confirm whether the ice is there or not, ice is cleared or not. But he said because here nobody knew that much English, that's why I was not able to ask this question from anyone. So, only thing was left that he should wait for other people to come and then only to start this last leg of the journey. Until that is, I met Norbu. But then he met another person, Norbu. Again, this is important character. You may get this question, okay, on Norbu. The cafe was small. Now, one day he was sitting in that only cafe of Darchan. The cafe was small, dark, and cavernous, but with a long metal stove that ran down the middle. So this is how the cafe is, that there is a in the middle there is a stove and tea and coffee is being prepared. He said I was sitting one day over there when I met Norbu. The walls and ceiling were wreathed in sheets of multicolored. Now actually here this cafe is being described, so you may get short question on the cafe also, what kind of cafe it was. Multicolored plastic of the stripped variety, broad blue, red and white, that is made into stout, voluminous shopping bags sold all over China and in many other countries of Asia as well as Europe. As such, plastic must rate as one of China's most successful exports along the Silk Road today. The cafe, now again we come back how he met Norbu. The cafe had a single window beside which I had taken up position so that I could see the pages of my notebook. I had also brought a novel with me to help pass the time. He said I was sitting there in the cafe near the window and I was having my notebook in my hand. I was having my novel also, which I was reading over there, and the novel was kept on the table. Norbu saw my book when he came in and asked with a gesture if he could sit opposite me at my rickety table. You English? He inquired. after he had ordered tea, I told him I was, and we struck up a conversation. Now, when Norbu came, he saw this book lying over there, so he wanted to sit on that table only, and then because he saw English novel, that's why he started talking uh, in English. And he first of all asked him, "Are you English?" He said, "Yes, I'm Englishman." And this way they started chatting. I didn't think he was from those parts because he was wearing a wind cheater and metal rimmed spectacles of a Western style. Though he looked Tibetan, but even then he said I was not confirmed. Why? Because he was not wearing Tibetan clothes. He was rather wearing Western style clothes. He was Tibetan, he told me, but worked in Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Then he told that he is actually a Tibetan, but he doesn't live over here because he works in Chinese, we can say Academy of Social Sciences at Beijing. In the Institute of Ethnic Literature, I assumed he was on some sort of fieldwork. And then in the conversation only, through the conversation only, this writer got to know that he had come, Norbu had come for some field work. Yes and no. Then he asked that, is it that you have come for field work? And Norbu said, you can say yes and you can say no also. And why he said yes and no? I have come to do the Koda because he said actually my field work is to write something about this Kora. So I'm collecting the facts about this Kora. But on the other hand, I wanted first hand information also. So that's why this time I had decided to do the Kora. So this way you can say I have come for Kora, okay, or you can say I have come for field work also. So both the things were there. My heart jumped when narrator said, when I got to know that Norbu is also for the Kora. So he said, I was really very, very happy that at least now one more person is there for Kora. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. He told me, but he had never actually done it himself. Norbu only told that he had written many papers about this Kailash or Kora and all this, but he has never done Kora, okay, himself. So this time he had come here for doing the Kora also. When the time came for me to tell him what brought me to Darshan, his eyes lit up. And after this, when writer told that yes, he has also come for Kora, even Norbu was very happy. We could be a team, he said excitedly. Two academics who have escaped from the library. Perhaps my positive thinking strategy was working after all. Now, even he was very excited. He said, we can say that yes, two people who are always working and writing, okay, now they have come out from that, their writing work, and now they are doing something else, different thing they are going to do. Means they will be doing any work, just they will be traveling and doing the Kora only. So now writer said, after meeting Norbu, I was thinking that my positive thinking was again working because now I had got one companion. My initial relief at meeting Norbu, who was also staying in the guest house, was tempered by the realization that he was almost as ill-equipped as I was for the pilgrimage. So he said, I was very happy, but then my happiness was very short-lived because very soon I got to know that Norbu is also not having that much knowledge about this Kora or the last leg of journey, okay, for the Mount Kailash. He was also ill-equipped like me. He kept telling me how fat he was and how hard it was going to be. Very high up, he kept reminding me. So tiresome to walk. So he was, again and again, he was telling, this is the last leg of journey is very difficult. It is very high up. It will be it's not very, very easy to climb up. So all these things he kept on telling. He wasn't really a practicing Buddhist. It transpired because only thing is why he said so, because Buddhist people, they believe in walking and walking and walking. They're not afraid of walking. But here Norbu seemed to be afraid of this. That's why he said, I felt that he is not practicing Buddhist. But he had enthusiasm and he was of course Tibetan. But then again, one plus point was that he was a Tibetan. That was enough for the writer to have this companion. Although I had originally envisaged making the trek in the company of devout believers, he said, though I had thought about having so many people along with me in the last journey of my Kora, but I was having only one, Norbu. On reflection, I decided that perhaps Norbu would turn out to be the ideal companion. He suggested we hire some yaks to carry our luggage, which I interpreted as a good sign, and he had no intention of prostrating himself all round the mountain. Not possible, he cried, collapsing across the table in hysterical laughter. It wasn't his style, and anyway, his tummy was too big. So this is how he ultimately decided, though he said I had envisaged many people going along with me on both my sides, but he said ultimately it ended up that I will be having only one companion, Norbu. But he said even then I was happy that I would be having somebody with me. Now this chapter is over. Okay, this is long video, but I wanted to finish in this video only. And now you can read the chapter along with this. You can read the chapter along with this video. Thank you.